I could think of. I was so shy my entire life, I would have never been able to come up here and do that. So put up your hands if you were super shy growing up like me. Oh, how's that more than half of us? I put my notes on the podium, and they took the podium away. It's a metaphor for my life. Okay, so we're just going to divide the room in two right down the center here. You guys are Discover and you're Personal. You guys are My and Brand. Did I do it right? Discover and Personal, My and Brand. All right? So Discover, My, Personal, Brand. You ready? Yeah. Man, if you're doing that Instagram video, take them out because the energy's about to go up in here. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Discover, My, Personal, Brand. Again, Discover.
Discover, My, Personal,
Brand. You mean it this time?
Discover my personal brand!
Awesome. Okay, so I was going to introduce myself because that's the thing you're supposed to do when you're moderating a panel. But I was looking at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? It took me so long to find myself. Anyone like that? It took me years to find my path and who I was. And I made a decision that no matter what I did or what situation that I am in, that I will be the most me and make the biggest positive impact. So that means all of my talents, all of my passions, all of my insecurities, all the horrible neighborhoods that I grew up in, all of the moments when I felt I wasn't enough, I'm bringing that with me. So because of that, there's an acuity that comes along with that, right? There's a responsibility. So I can't be a moderator because I know what moderate means, right? Here's a synonym for moderate. Synonym for moderate is average. Anyone here wants to be average?
No.
Can't be a moderator. Another synonym for moderate would be easygoing and carefree and ne'er-do-well. Anyone want to be that? No. Okay, let's talk about what we really want to do. Anyone want to turn up?
Yes!
Anyone want to create impact?
Yes!
Everyone want to be extraordinary? So I'm Alexander Michael Gittens, but I am not your moderator. I am your accelerator. Oh, come on. Okay. Wonderful. So we've got an incredible panel here. I did a little research on each of them, but I wanted to start off by asking my incredible peers here to introduce themselves in 1 minute or less. And what we want to focus on, what's important to you, and what is your personal brand. Start off with Scott. You have a mic, right?
I got a mic. I don't know if it's on though. Should I just click the on button?
Alexander, you made that incredibly difficult to follow up. That was so badass. But my name is Scott Bertie. I'm the head of sales right now at TrueFan. I also do a little bit of social media and marketing consulting and advisory. But what's important to me is a few things. I mean, family is definitely one of the most important things in my life. My friends and my peers are definitely something that I try to display the importance of by the way I interact with them. And something that's definitely become important to me over the last couple of years, really since I started using LinkedIn, was community. And so it's great to see all these people out here right now. I helped host several LinkedIn locals in Ottawa, Chicago, Seattle, some other places. And yeah, this is my second one in Toronto. So thanks, Bobby, and thanks to the DYPB team.
Oh, hey there. My name is Julie Cole. I'm the co-founder of Mabel's Labels. I'm a parenting blogger and a mom of 6. What's important to me? Sometimes the 16 ones, depending on behaviors. We started Mabel's Labels. I started with 3 Other Women 17 years ago, and if you haven't heard of it, it's really a very basic product. We make very durable, personalized name labels for the stuff kids lose. So dishwasher, microwave, safe. And we started the business for 2 reasons. One, we noticed a product missing from the market. We were using masking tape and permanent marker on our kids' belongings. We're like, oh, we can do better than that. Or there should be something better than that, and there wasn't, so we did it. And also at that time I had my eldest child, who was 3, had just been diagnosed with autism. And I'm a recovering lawyer. I left law then because I knew it wouldn't suit my family's needs anymore. I really wanted to provide great therapy for my son and turn my house into a therapy center or whatever. So happy to say now, 17 years on, Mabel's has grown from the basement to, we're in a 14,000 square foot facility, 40 full-time staff. And my son, a kid with autism, is just finished first year at University of Guelph. He's got his driver's license. He's a hockey player, a black belt in Taekwondo, and all that good stuff. And a great big brother, good friend. So I always like to say on my deathbed, he'll be my life's greatest achievement, but my other 5 are okay too.
Hello, I'm Diana. You know me already, but I'm going to do this. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie! And although we're sisters, we found out today as well. We're from the same, you live in the same city.
Yeah.
Live there. Okay, it's my turn now. Cutting my time. I did mention that I want to help people be confident in their speaking and to own what they say. So my other purpose is to help people with voices here to get them out. So I've got a program called the Launch Off. It's one-on-one, and it's for me to get inside there and let you pop out and own your message and get it seen. So it's called a Launch Off. It's about standing on a cliff and then rocketing up. So, Diana Nguyen.
Hi, my name is Bobby Umar. My personal brand is about the power of connection. I believe in helping organizations and individuals create more deep, authentic, meaningful, and powerful connections. And I do that with my speaking business. I've been a professional speaker for 14 years, traveling all around the world. And I speak about three main things: personal branding, connection with the self; authentic networking, connection with others; and digital influence, connection with the world. And so in doing so, I help people create their voice and get the message out to the world. Now, at the same time, I also coach people. I coach speakers on building a thought leadership brand as a speaker. I also coach people on speaking skills as well. And I'm working on a program called Match Your Voice with String, which is again help people find their authentic voice, particularly via video content. And if you're all interested, you can check out my stuff all across social media. Just Google me. But my main thing I'm doing right now is I'm doing daily live streams on LinkedIn. Every morning at 8:45 a.m. and I just talk for 15-20 minutes and I share as much content as I possibly can to help as many people as I can. And my message for the world is, I was once feeling lost and stuck on a my career, and I can tell you that it's okay to feel that way, but it's not okay to do nothing about it. And you should ask for help, and I'm here, everyone else is here, we're going to help you.
Hey everyone, I'm Cher Jones, and I am a B2B corporate social media trainer. What does that even mean? Well, I help people because I find that, especially in the corporate, more conservative corporate spaces, people lose their voice. They don't even have a brand. They look like they're looking for a job, but yet they are using social media every single day for business. So I help people not only reclaim their time, but reclaim their voice online by positioning what makes them awesome. There's nothing I love more than when people actually recognize how awesome they really are and have the words to articulate that, then have a strategy to attract what they want in their careers. So I help them do that, and specifically in the workplace so that they can use social media at work for work. So that's what I do. I love, so what else is important to me? Really, this honestly does jazz me up. I love also creating content that just teaches people. I am a teacher at heart. I love to teach, and I just give. And it's not about Gary Vee. I just give because I like to give. I like to share, because there's so many people right now that's looking for this information and looking for what this whole panel has to share with you, because there's so many opportunities that you just need to learn how to take advantage of them. And that's what we're here for. So I love that, and I love these people. I know a lot of them, and I'm just meeting. It's like this whole half of the panel I just met, and then this side. I know. She's like a Twitter OG, okay? She's awesome. All right. You're next.
Guys are also good. My name is Katie Stewart, and I told you earlier, I've had a blog on the internet for 14 years, and I don't know, I'm not as clear on my passion. I feel like it's changing all the time. I have progressed from working in tech. I was a recruiter, I was social media director. I'm now in the movie, as you know, and I feel like one of the cool things about being on the internet and doing what I've been doing is I'm constant, and as a content creator, I'm constantly innovating myself. I'm always finding new ways. I'm always doing new platforms and new ways to create content and stand out. Because if you scroll through your Instagram now, a lot of things kind of start to look the same. And I think that the only way to really define what your personal brand and who that is to be your real self. Just kind of let it out. And I think something that I said on my blog, I used to sign off my blog on this all the time, is you're never going to be younger than you are right now. Like now. So you gotta just do it. You can't be too scared and hold back, because tomorrow you'll wish you started today. And I think that's a really important thing. So if there's something you want to do, just do it. Someone asked me during the break, how do I start if I haven't been on Twitter for a long time, or I haven't done it? I was like, just do it. Hello world. Just get out there and do it, because there's a year from now you'll be glad that you did.
Wonderful. You're going to get to keep that microphone.
Heyo.
You're going to pass it amongst yourselves, and then when we have audience questions, I'll give them my mic. So the reason why I changed the name of Bobby's brand that has millions of followers to discover my personal brand is because these experts are facing you. They've shown up, some of them from halfway around the world. By the way, if we're gonna do Aussie, 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 oi, 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 can we make some noise for our championship Raptors and the true North Star employees? Born and bred. They are here for you. They traveled all the way over here for you. You hear that Kawhi Leonard laugh back there? Did you hear that? They traveled here for you. So a good 20-30% of this panel is going to be you asking questions. And the reason why I wanted my incredible peers here to introduce themselves is so that you can address them specifically when you had questions. So I mentioned that I was shy growing up. I certainly was. I still am kind of now. But actually, now you're alive? Someone yelled it at the president too. You can take the boy out of the hood. But the reason why I mention it is because I actually have my first TEDx speak this weekend. So Bobby encouraged me to make sure that the questions were relevant to the topic here today. But because I was so shy growing up and because it took me so long to find my passion, in between the questions I'm going to give you little pieces of how I became who I am and the way that it finally worked out for me on the 100th millionth try. But let's get started with Scott there at the end. When I looked up Scott on social media, I saw that he was a part of this incredible startup called TrueFan. They've got a lot of great, and what I love about the way that they present themselves is that when you click into their website, everything is action-based. They don't waste time telling you about who they are and what they tell you what they can do for you. So the question I wanted to say to Scott is I noticed that you have a wonderful brand through TrueFan, but then as the director of sales there, you also have your own look and feel. A lot of people here today are in an organization where they feel maybe that they have to conform a little bit to the norms there. How are you able to keep your brand vibrant and living without losing the corporate side of you as well?
Yeah, I'll try and not take too long on this answer because I have a tendency to just kind of like roll on, especially at the start of podcasts and things like that. So similar type of question, but I think a lot of people on LinkedIn have first of all got to know me first. And they also know that building a personal brand on LinkedIn had a lot to do with achieving what we've achieved already at TrueFan, and really just me getting the opportunity to be there. Half of personal branding to me is really using those online channels that are marketing tools to network with people that you see eye to eye with or feel like are like-minded. So that's exactly what I did. Like I saw that there was a massive opportunity on LinkedIn at the time to advance your professional development, your personal development, your career, whatever it is that you had as an objective. I definitely saw that LinkedIn could be a conduit to help you get there. And I was stuck in my career, so I really just started creating a personal brand for myself, struggling to figure out how to make content on the platform, but just doing it consistently like Diana was mentioning before. And over time, I realized that if you could kind of mold that in with in-person connections, like Bobby also touched on, that you could really start to build a community around you, and people started to not only kind of buy into what you were doing, but really who you are. And I think that's exactly what happened with Swish, who I ended up teaming up with as kind of a business partner now in TrueFan and CEO and founder there, who many of you may know. And in terms of keeping my brand separate, like, again, people really know me for me on LinkedIn, so I'm never too concerned about overwhelming them with the amount of TrueFan content because they really understand through the transition that I made that that's something I really enjoy doing and I really love what I'm doing right now. So although I'm weary of drowning the audience in content that relates back to TrueFan, we do try to like keep it fresh. I mean, I have a couple of awesome colleagues that are here right now. I see one right here. Raheem is an absolute legend. He came in from Vancouver for the summer. And Cameron appears to have left, so we're gonna have to talk tomorrow about that. But we do have some fun at the office. We made like a little Kawhi Leonard video when it was going into game, I think it was game 7 or game 6, I don't know, one of the series is. And we pay attention to what's going on. And then beyond that, I just try to make sure that I'm paying attention to what my audience wants to see. And I'm engaging with them. Like just this morning, I had Michelle Roman on a podcast that we've been doing for the company. So I threw the company into a post that I put out to the audience, but ultimately I was just asking the audience, hey, I'm interviewing this very notable entrepreneur and somebody who's really driving Canada's tech and innovation scene forward. Is there anything you'd want to ask her? And pressing questions, right? Really just trying to engage the community and ultimately build community.
Wonderful. Thank you, Scott. So I actually have a question tailored for each of the panel members. So no pressure, but I feel like I'm giving you ones that should be right in the middle of your wheelhouse. So next up we have Cassie. Casey. Casey?
I'm gonna lose it.
Okay, so I'm gonna get your
I'm hosting now.
That's what happens. You get put in a little chair. But I gotta get your question.
Okay.
Okay. And you know what happened is you said, "Don't call me that."
It's
And
okay,
all I
it
heard
happens all
was-
the time. We just
There we
have
go.
to talk about it.
So your question is, what is the one thing? Because you are literally, as Cher said, you're an OG in this. What is the
No.
one thing you must do? What can you not leave out when you are creating opportunity through personal branding?
I think something that's really important is consistency. Because I have so many people like, oh, I'm gonna start a blog. It's like, they think it's so easy. And they're like, yeah, I'm gonna start a blog. I was like, okay, cool. Blog every day for a month. Every day for a week. And then tell me what it's like. Because most people are like, radio silence. And they go away and they don't create something. If you're building a personal brand and you wanna connect with people, you wanna build community, you can't just drop off. Because people, they'll forget. And you've gotta be consistent. Like, I always joke about I'm an OG. I'm like, I've been on the internet for 200 years. And sometimes that's what it feels like, because I have people that, they, were a lot younger, and people that have followed me over the years, like people like Julie I've known for a really long time, and Bobby's kids were like this big when he met me, and a lot of people have grown up with me. They know all the trips I've been on. They really have built a relationship with me. It's very one-sided, but I don't know anything about that, a lot of them, but I've been consistent, and I don't blog for a long time. I did blog, like I literally blogged every day for like 3 or 4 years, which I didn't even take weekends off. Then I started taking weekends off. And then now I blog much less, but it's still there, and the stories are still there. And the person I am has changed. I've changed and grown. When I started my blog, I just came back from Australia, because I went to university there. And, I was like a little younger and a little wilder and stuff, but the message of the person that I am, I smile a lot, I like wearing bright colors, which I'm not really wearing today, but you have a point, and the brand of who I am as a person has been pretty consistent, and I've put out consistent content, and I think that's what makes, it really builds credibility, and it lets people, like if they're hiring you for a job, they know that you have follow through, that you're not just kind of drop off, and I think that that's really important to building your brand.
Wonderful point. And one thing that you said earlier, Casey, so I dropped my voice there, trying to get brownie points. But one thing that you said earlier that I absolutely love, because I have a partner who's always saying, I want to create great content, I don't have time, I can't come up with new things. But you know how you know who the leader in the room is? The leader in the room is not the person who talks the most or who talks last. The leader in the room is the person the conversation flows through. So at the end of the day, you don't always have to be coming up with your own content, because I stole that whole idea from your talk earlier today. The whole point is that it's just something you're really passionate about. Join the conversation and be a conduit for that. Okay, Cher, I've known the longest of anyone on this. Great to see you again, my dear. My goodness, she lights up a room, doesn't she? Doesn't she? Okay. Now, a question like...
Don't knock guys, come on! The room is a little love in here, damn!
But the one thing I love about what you do is you're empowering people in the B2B space with their business to use social media platforms. So I want to know, in your experience, because we have a lot of people here where their personal brand is very integrated with what they do for a living. Bobby's a great example of that. He lives and breathes this stuff. So I want to know, what are the platforms that you think are the must-have for people who are in business, or does it vary by the kind of business that they're in?
That question is like asking any consultant. Well, it depends. And it really does. It really depends on where the audience wants to hear your message and what the strategy it is for you to build a relationship with your audience members. So particularly if I truly believe that both Instagram and LinkedIn can be a 1-2 punch right now in the social setting, and it's just a matter of what's number one and what's number two. So for me, for example, my money network, and that's how I like to distinguish between the two, my money network is on LinkedIn. 90% of my leads come from LinkedIn. I get validated perhaps on Instagram, I build personal relationships, see people's kids grow up, see things happen that I can have conversations with on Instagram. But when it comes to money conversations, when it comes to opportunities, for me, it's on LinkedIn. But I also sell corporately. So when I sell corporately, and I'm dealing with teams who want social media training, teams who want to help, the team managers who want to help their team develop their personal brands so they show up for business, not like they're looking for a job, right? That's where they're going to have this conversation. The conversations and the content that I create, it's not for Instagram. No one wants to hear about this stuff on Instagram. So you have to take a look individually. What is it that you need to talk about for your business? If you have a product business, if you are more in the B2C space and you have a specific product that you're selling, Instagram might be your one, right? But then you need to show up credibly on LinkedIn if you're having a business conversation, because someone might not follow your business account, even though it's an account for a business on Instagram. When you meet them at a networking space, it's easier to connect with them on LinkedIn. So make sure your LinkedIn profile articulates how you serve, how you help people, what you can do for them, and then get into why you can do it, meaning the stuff that you've done. If you start with, I went to university here, I got this award, I have sales awards, no one cares, because they don't know why they should care. But if you reverse engineer, and start with, here's how I help people, these are the people I help, here's how I help them accomplish this. And then get in, here's why I can help. And then your Instagram, if that is how you can serve your customers best, then you need to be there and developing an active presence there. It really depends on where you're having the best conversation for a transaction. So it's individual, and that's why I started with the typical consultant answer. Well, it depends. But for me, my money is on LinkedIn, and my mind is on my money, and my money's on my mind. That's what my content is, and that's where I play.
Love what I'm hearing. So I promised you I'd represent for all my shy people. Where are you again? The ones least likely to put their hands up. Did you put your hands up for being shy? Oh my goodness, see? Here we are thinking that everyone is so much better spoken than us, so much more polished than us, and the gentleman who is self-admittedly being shy is a guy with a golden throat. But one of the things I always felt like is that my intentions were not getting through. Anyone feel that way? Like people are just not getting what you're all about. And I felt like I'm such a weirdo. My interests are so different. I just want to be me, but I feel like, how do I fit in, right? That's supposed to go away when you end your teams, right? It didn't go away. But one thing I realized was, am I lining all of my actions up with the goal to be the best me, the most authentic me, the most consistent me, and to create the biggest impact? See, what I would do is I would try to act in a way that would get someone to either get me what I want or to not be offended by me. I tried to fit in. But around me, all I was giving out were these sort of vibes that said, I don't know who I am, I'm not confident being me. My confidence didn't come from someone saying, put you on the stage. My confidence came from saying, I can only be me. But while being me, I'm going to create the biggest positive impact. So if you feel like people aren't getting you, look in the mirror and say, you know what? Every moment I had today, was it an emphatic declaration of everything I am? And if it is, who cares if they don't get you? I mean, you have a peer in me. Okay, so next I'm going to go to Bobby, and this question is so specifically for Bobby, because I have seen this man pivot. I have seen him pivot. I have seen him have a hiccup, come back stronger than ever, and he's the reason that we're all here today. So, and he's easily got the biggest social media following I've ever seen. I can't even count that high. So thank you, Bobby, for getting us all here today. But I want to know, what are the inside tips and tricks that you use to have so many people gravitate to you and to build such a network of such warm, exciting, and passionate people?
It's a good question. Someone asked me a while ago, how do you get so many people to do stuff for you for free across all different things? Right. So I used to run this thing called the Cool Connection, and I ran this thing called the Humans of Canada project, and I created all these different projects, and I would just rally people to, let's do this, and we all be working for free on this stuff. And why? Because I would get to the heart of the matter of setting a clear vision for and what we're trying to do. But I think ultimately it comes down to, I think the following that I get is because I try really hard to create a brand. When I say power of connection, I really mean not just like authentic and meaningful and things like that, but accessible. I try to make myself accessible that I'm just a regular person you can talk to and not feel shy and intimidated even though I'm a big, huge brown guy. I try to, invest people's stories, understand how they feel and where they're all about, understand their brand, because ultimately the best way to empower my brand is to help others with their brands and help. And my number one question to people is, how can I help you make a difference? That's my number one question I ask every single person. So I think for me, to build that strong brand, you have to. There's two parts. One is to really build that authentic, deep connection with every single person. When someone's in a meeting with me, they're the most important person in the room right now, unless my wife and kids call. But aside from that, they're the number one most important person in that moment, right? So, and that to me is a really, really important thing. And the second thing that really helps, and this applies to not just one-on-one interactions, but one-on 1,000 or whatever. When I tweet to 450,000 people, when I post to 30,000 LinkedIn or on 11,000 Instagram, you have to create tremendous value for every single person out there. And so when I do a video, when I talk to you, when I network with somebody, when I talk to my kids, every moment has to be a monument. And I try to create that tremendous value for that people. So if you invest deep in an authentic connection and be willing to go bold with that, and then always create tremendous value for your audience, then people will follow, people will come, and you'll also have numbers too.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. I'm not much of a meme guy. I get distracted so easily. But I saw something the other day that I thought was so cool. It said, check in with your strong friend. Don't you love that? And I feel like we have some incredible strong women, not just on stage, but in the audience today.
Woo!
And so for
Say
that,
that
I want to know, because clearly you have high energy in everything you do. You're so passionate, but inevitably there's going to be low moments. How do you maintain high energy during those moments? And it's something you can share with us so that we can still be authentic, but still maintain that level of action level.
I think when I first did my dancing videos, people perceived me to be the clown, fun person. And I think when people were really shocked when I started to talk about depression and racism, and a couple of days ago about respectable women, people were like, oh, where's the funny? Uh-oh, what happened? And I wanted them to freak out because I wanted them to see me. And this is when I do stand-up, and I've done stand-up in all of Australia, in Edinburgh. My stand-up isn't about the joke or the pun. There's not a drum kit that goes every time. For me, it's about getting into the muck. And that's why I really love LinkedIn. Nearly 2 years ago when the hashtag Embrace the Suck came out. Wait, Embrace the Suck? Yes, okay, good. Good. Yeah, Embrace the Suck came out because people were sharing stories that usually we don't get to hear unless it's a TED Talk. But for the first time, people in their houses, in their living rooms, in their offices were now finally telling them what hurt them and how they got through it. And that's the important thing about Embracing the Suck. We want to hear about your vulnerable stories, but we want to hear how you got through it, the hero's journey. Yeah. So if you've got a story to tell, and I'm not promoting you to go tell your hardest story and expect the community to come around you. You need to have started the community first for them to come around you, because you need to protect yourself first. And if you have a story that you're ready to tell it, and you've got that strong person to champion you, then tell that story, because that community will be there for you regardless.
Wonderful. I like that a lot. So the last question of this section is for Julie. A lot of us here today, put your hand if you felt pressure, and I know this is Bobby too, put up your hand if you felt pressure to do a certain career by friends or family or expectations. You see, that's most of us, right? And Julie, through circumstance and through trying times perhaps, made a decision that maybe a lot of people don't have the courage to make. And I don't use that word lightly. She gave up her career, and she'll laugh about it and call herself a recovering lawyer. But that's the high watermark for a lot of us, isn't it, to have a career like that? So I want to know, for people who are here and they're going through transition and their life threw them a curveball, and they're trying to decide, where do I find myself in all of this? Can you share, how did you find your strength, and how did you gain such courage, and how has that defined who you are with Mabel's Labels and everything else you do?
Oh, that's a doozy. I guess in a way, part of it is that I never really defined myself by what I did. So when I was a lawyer, I mean, I didn't really think that much of it. Like, I was just doing a job. I thought I would do it for the rest of my life. I was doing legal aid, women who are in violent relationships. That's still a passion of mine. But yeah, it was, I mean, just like the story I said at the beginning, when life throws you that curve and you just respond, you just do. And it's funny, I think about like those early days of making the labels and, making labels till 4 in the morning, then getting 2 hours sleep, and then getting up with kids at 6 a.m. and like these are the things, like, I mean, I'm sure so many of us can reflect back and just like, how did I do it at that time? But you just do, right? You just do. And I don't know, I think a few things that I probably had going for me was that I'm positive. I don't complain. It's one of my things, I just refuse to complain, because me saying I'm tired has never led to me getting more sleep. It's a true story. True story. And plus it's boring and nobody else wants to hear it. That's what I said. And I don't say I'm too busy. Like, who's not busy? That just gets boring too. So I just try to, be positive. I keep some, probably my standards quite low. Like, if my house isn't really clean, my kids don't make good meals, like all that stuff. But they seem okay. But, I think I have so many friends who worry so much about that stuff, and it means they're so busy doing the busy work that they don't get some of the more important stuff done. And I always say, like, at my funeral, nobody's going to be talking about my immaculate house or my nutrition to children, but they will talk about, the things that I've done and the way I made them feel, and that to me is important. And that's been a big part of my brand. And I think, with Mabel's Labels, a big part of my personal brand has been to help the professional brands. So we've got the brand of Julie Cole, and how can I use that to leverage with Mabel's Labels to sell labels at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, we need to sell the labels, but we know our audience of moms and how they want to buy. They don't want to buy from nameless, faceless brands. They want to buy from people who are relatable and that they connect to, and that's where I come in. They want to buy from the lady who's also trying to get through the day without smelling like baby vomit, because I am like them. So I think, tying in your personal brand with your professional brand is really good for business, and really it's what differentiates you from your competitors.
Wonderful. Round of applause for the individual answers from our panel. What a thrill for me to be associated with this incredible bunch of professionals. What a thrill. We're going to go to the audience now. So what's going to happen is you're going to ask a question, and you're going to direct it at the panel member that you feel is sort of the one that you connected with for that specific question. And then we can have a quick 30-second follow-up from any other panel member. So if you start to key on it, you're like, oh, I need the mic. I've got to either piggyback on this or enhance it or add some other form of clarity. So all you have to do is make sure you actually have a good question. Everyone says there's no such thing as a bad question?
Yeah, there are.
They're bad, but I just want to make sure that the question is so unique to you and your personal brand that you get what you came here tonight for while adding value to everyone. So who is going to be first? I see a hand. Oh, I see 2 hands there. So you gentlemen are going to be first. That mic is closer. Do you mind, Scott, being a gentleman? And
I can run the mic.
strong, courageous. We have a room full of women like that, don't we? Don't we? Yeah.
Awesome. I had 2 questions, so I'll make it very small. The first question is, I migrated from Orkut to Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn. So this is my journey. So the reasons of my migration is because somewhere I felt that Orkut did not give me that value, and I migrated to Facebook. I started watching a lot of random videos which were not really adding value, like accidents, fightings, or whatever. It was content was not nice, and I migrated to Instagram. I really did not add any value. Came to LinkedIn. From past 1 year, I again started seeing that people are posting some random videos. Like 1 year back, I used to use LinkedIn for my job search and for my brand building. And later, everybody started sharing their stories. It's good. But now I see people taking videos from YouTube, cat videos, monkey videos, coming into LinkedIn. So, is it LinkedIn going to become like Instagram and Facebook next 2 years?
I'm with you. Everybody stay in your own lane. Like LinkedIn, do you?
Who's the question
Instagram,
for?
do you? Yeah, who do you want to answer? Does anybody
Yeah,
want
take
to?
somebody.
Well, yeah. Look, I don't know. I think I do agree. Stay in your own lane. I expect something from LinkedIn. I don't want to see stupid cat videos on LinkedIn. You know, I want to see. I go there for professional things, but I also feel like LinkedIn is getting a little bit more. Everybody needs to start remembering how we want to use LinkedIn. I'm feeling like I'm getting a lot of DMs trying to pitch me, for like saying, "Hey, Julie, I noticed we've got some mutual connections. You could use me as your coach or whatever." I'm like, no, that's gross. Don't use social. Don't use social. Social media is social, and I always say, if you don't use it for sales, you will get sales. But the minute you start using it for sales, girls, look, we use them. Yeah, I'll pass this to you too. We find for our company, Mabel's, and this kind of goes to the question Cher was asked actually. Our audience is on Facebook, so that's where our business is mostly. However, our audience originally is like me, a 48-year-old mom. Now we've got the millennial moms. They want their content through Instagram, so now we have a bigger presence on Instagram. So you need to go where your audience is, really.
Yeah, all I would add to that is basically you need to pick your objective, like with any of those platforms. So first of all, are you hopping on Instagram to create content, or are you hopping on there to consume content? Because if you're hopping on there to consume content, you should probably groom your following to give you the type of content that you want to see. And if you want to create content, then make sure you're not hopping on there and consuming content, because you'll get lost in a hurry. And then vice versa, it's the same on LinkedIn. Like, you can have an objective of sales, like she was just talking about, and use it as a touch point. So when you're putting up videos or posts or whatever it is, as long as it has your name on it and you have your little headline, like somewhere somebody's seeing your business again. You know what I mean? And that might not have to do with the business. And going back to that first question that you asked me, a lot of the time it just has to do with demand generation and over kind of getting that brand recognition. So whether that's personally, so that you can go out there and speak, you know, publicly, or potentially even get the job that you want, right? Or for your brand. And then same kind of thing goes for consuming content on LinkedIn. Like, I'm guilty of this. Like, I'd like to consume more content on there because I agree. It used to be very educational, and now it's kind of getting flooded with an overwhelming amount of, we'll just call them crappy videos. But you can go in there and unfollow that type of content or whatever it is. And I really wanted to do that for a while, but I can't say I have, so that's my own fault.
Wonderful. I saw a hand over here. Yes, Scott, if you don't mind.
And I don't want to say about your question, but I'll tell you.
Hi everyone, my question is for Bobby, and I'd love it if Cher, you can come in with that 30-second follow-up. Alright, great. So my name is Raj. I work with a company called Triac. It's a not-for-profit, full form Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council. And my question is not on my personal branding, but my question is about the personal branding of all the new Canadians and new immigrants who come to Canada. And the statistics is this, through the Express Entry program, the government is calling in about 350,000 new Canadians every year, out of which almost 80,000 new Canadians come and settle just in the GTA. No wonder the housing price is so high. Yeah. So my question is, one of the major challenges that the new immigrants in Canada face is that while they might have relevant skills and experience from their home country, when they come here, they don't find jobs that commensurate to their experience, right? And therefore, one of the tips they always get is go do networking, go be on LinkedIn. My question to both of you is, how do you think the new Canadians who come here with relevant experience can effectively use LinkedIn or other social media to land themselves with an interview?
It's funny you mentioned that, because just today I booked a keynote in the fall for helping immigrants with networking and using LinkedIn. So it's actually two talking about personal branding. So when I talk about personal branding, it's definitely about understanding who you are and how you serve your target audience. But the other thing is you have to think about building a thought leadership personal brand. What that means is, aside from networking is part of it, but to build a thought leadership personal brand, you'll start to have to create content, generate ideas, build buzz around your expertise and your skills and what you're doing. So every single immigrant that I talk to, yes, networking, absolutely. But number two, are you creating content? If you're an expert in refrigeration or an expert in cell phones, you're an expert in shoes, are you blogging and doing videos about shoes or fridges or electronics? Because that's how you build that strong thought leadership brand around what you're all about. And I think it's more than just networking. Certainly do that, but I think you have to start building content around that. And if you start to create content, people start to see you, they'll say, wow, this person's talking about stuff.
There's a guy out there who's 22 years old talking about every smartphone that comes out and he reviews it. And he has millions of subscribers. Why? Because he's built a thought leadership brand around that thing. So I think it's important for every single immigrant that I talk to not only embrace personal branding, but also embrace thought leadership personal brand, which is networking, but also creating content and working on their speaking communication skills. If you keep doing that, then you're going to have way more opportunities and way more people are going to follow you and notice who you are.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Did Bobby just have a mic drop moment? Is that what happened? Okay, so we have one more question before. Coco and David are going to have to do rock, paper, scissors for this one. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. You didn't even play. Coco wins by default. Stay with it, David.
Okay, so after getting the mic, my question is difficult for me to word. I am an expert in pain, if that makes sense. Helping people to transform their pain into power. And I'm talking about severe traumas, and what I was concerned about, and maybe it's being my own head, is on LinkedIn, it seems so professional, you know, and I'm not sure how to express, or if that's the right platform to express the types of topics that I speak on. As a youth speaker, the schools invite me to come in and talk about low self-esteem, anti-bullying, care for education, all these things. So it's a welcoming sort of space where people understand that I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty. But just to put content on, so you were traumatized when you were 5. Let's talk about that. I'm not quite sure if LinkedIn is the right space to do that on. I do lots of things on Instagram, but they're inspirational quotes and things and so on and so forth. I'm not necessarily getting, the attention of the decision makers for conferences to invite me to speak. So I'm kind of confused as to, so I've been hesitant to put any of my content on LinkedIn because it just doesn't feel like it's the right space.
And when I hear that, I think it's totally the right space because it's all about context to the pain. So if you can draw in how pain affects performance at work, how pain affects interpersonal relationships, how pain affects every aspect of your life, and therefore when you're at work and you're working in pain, how do you solve that? How do you help that person? And what it is really at the end of the day is connecting the dots to the platform. So in that case, when you can bring in workplace performance,
Stress management,
all of that stuff, because at the end of the day, that means when they can improve that area of their lives, they will see an improvement on the job. And so that's the value that an employer will then say, we should bring her in for a lunch and learn series, we should bring her in for a workshop series, we should bring her in to speak. So what you have to do is just connect the dots on the platform and you'll be good to go.
Tell a story. Tell us the lesson, the professional lesson. Give tremendous value. The right people will love you, support you, and follow you. And that's all you have to do. You have to just start.
And that's you. You're the only one with your story.
I was going to say, I would definitely click on something to read, to write some LinkedIn articles and be that thought leader about that, because everyone deals with some kind of pain in their life. And last year in November, I broke my collarbone, which was really horrible, and I had numbness in my face from a fall, and it was really hard for me as someone who takes photos of my face a lot. I was doing half-face selfies because I was really self-conscious about it, and reading about dealing with pain and stuff, something I'd like to do. And even video content, if maybe you do a talk at a school, put it into short clips. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, because most people are probably not going to watch a really long video. But some short clips and articles and stuff, and I think that could be a really great way for you to create content around that, relating to work in the workplace.
Wonderful. I notice there's a theme emerging, right? Authenticity, consistency, being brave. These are awesome things. And all those things are choices, right? Coco is here despite having the most horrific thing a mother could go through 6 weeks ago. That's bravery. So Coco, thank you for being here and thank you for your time. I promised I'd give you 3 points. And the second one is this interesting relationship between fear and failure. My whole life I thought fear was sort of the thing that happened, that when you feel it, you run away from it. But I learned there's a difference between fear and danger, right? Looking at a lion in the zoo, fear. Looking at a lion on the Serengeti, danger, right? So when it comes to failure, I thought that success was over here and failure was over here, and I wanted to go in this road unencumbered by the failure that was in that direction. But what I learned, and this was through Paulo Coelho, who we all love, The Alchemist and all of his writing, is about falling down 7 times and getting up 8 times. So I'm super good at falling down, I wasn't so good at getting up. But when I got up, I realized I'm not really learning the most lessons I should. I'm good at falling, getting better at getting up, but I realized you've got to fail in a certain way. I was failing trying to be something or look like something. I wanted to look like the man and all of these things. Tried to be tall, dark, and handsome my whole life. Didn't work. Bobby's taller, better looking, and smarter. Maybe if we remove Bobby from the room, I'd move up a place. Then I have to get rid of this whole... Okay, so anyway. So what ended up happening is I realized, no, you have to fail, but you have to fail a certain specific way. It's this dichotomy between comfort and discomfort. So when you take an action, any action, I want you to be 100% comfortable in your values. And that's the next section. Don't compromise your values for anything ever. There is no good outcome, there's no greatness if you compromise your values. So we want you to be comfortable 100% in your values. But I want your actions to be as uncomfortable as possible. I want you to push yourself and you say, my heart beats for this is the way I want to see the world, but you know what, I'm so scared of this action. When you fail doing something that your heart beats for and you get up from that, it actually paves your road to success. And that was the lesson that I learned. So now I'm looking for failure everywhere I can find it, making sure that everything, it's just like being here tonight, right? I mean, just sharing with you is a chance for me to say, you know what? I didn't see myself represented. I didn't grow up in trauma. I didn't grow up with diversity. I didn't see myself represented like I do now. But I can be that face that I didn't see growing up. So big round of applause for our panelists and for our question and answer. I don't want to miss the second round. Okay, so in this round, we have what I call next level questions. We're going to go a little bit deeper. And what happens here is any panelist can jump in, but once you've answered one, you've got to wait until everyone answers to get back to another one. Now, you know, some intrigue, right? A little bit of theater. When Diana shows up, you got to add a little bit of theater, right? You got to add a little bit, right? You got to step your game up. So what happens for each question, there's sort of a duality where there's 2 sides to it, so you can choose one or the other. But it's going to be wide open, you're going to have a chance to go deep. Okay, so the first one is purpose and values, are central to achieving greatness. There's a lot of content around defining your values these days. I see a lot of that. And what I want to ask is, do you have a defined purpose for your brand? Like a defined purpose for your brand? What are your values and how do they create opportunity? So you see I snuck in the duality, purpose and values. Do you define it? How do you create opportunity with it? Who will it be? Who will it be? Oh, here we go, here we go.
Purpose. So I'm going to go to purpose. As I said before, my purpose is joy, and something is lifting life still on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, hard. Yeah, well, yeah. Thank you. I am a full-time creative entrepreneur. I am a performer. I'm an actor. I am MC. I am a co-creator of a web series, and this is something I shouldn't be talking about, but I do believe it's the reason why I became a performer. So I'm also a clown doctor. I don't know if you know what that is. It's Patch Adams. I wear a red nose and I walk around the children's hospital and I perform in rooms. I perform in the burns unit. I perform in the cardiac arrest unit. I perform in the ICU. And for me, I've realized that it doesn't matter how many people are in the room. If I can connect with one person, that is enough for me. And that is my purpose, is connection. And into that connection is joy.
Wonderful.
Yes. So that's my purpose.
Quick follow-up question. How long did it take for you to get your purpose into one word like that?
It took 18 months of LinkedIn video.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So psychologist Herbert Maurer, he says it's easier to act your way into feeling than to feel your way into acting, right? And didn't we see that here? So the theme there is action in according with your values, and your purpose will surface, yes? Be intrepid though. If it takes a while, who cares? Is there a better pursuit than that? Just stay at it. Okay, so who's gonna, we've got the values side.
Talking about core values, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, sure, why not? So core values, Mabel's labels, and of course that spills into my personal brand as well. We take our core values very seriously. We spent several years ago, we spent a couple of years doing a whole program where we interviewed everyone, the co-founders, the staff, everyone involved, and we just really want to nail down what is really important to Meetup labels. We've got our set of core values, and we really do hire and fire by them. We integrate them into our interview questions. If somebody is not fitting into our core values, we get them off the bus, and quickly, I always say, fire fast, hire slow. And honestly, it has been such a great thing, because not only do we hire great people who fit with our brand, and then because your best brand ambassadors too are your staff, and you don't want your staff out there not representing Panelist labels in the way you want it represented. So that's on you to get the right people on the bus. And that's often the trickiest part. But if you get the right people on the bus, they're going to do so much good for you. And I'm always like, they are all on social media. They talk about Panelist label on social media. We do put them through a certification program to make sure, again, because we're fierce about protecting our brand. But it has allowed us to make decisions. Like when we're torn and we don't know what to do, we can go to our core values, and that keeps us on brand. I'll give a quick example. I had a big baby brand wanting to do a partnership with us a few years ago. And the marketing team was like, okay, we gotta do this. This is an amazing opportunity. We're gonna have a coupon on every bottle of this product. Anyway, I said absolutely not, and they've got formaldehyde in their baby products. And they're like, oh, but it's like so low. There's like nobody really knows. I'm like, but we know, and that is not on brand. And all I would need is one mom to read that we were partnering with this company that's not aligned to our core values. It's just, giving our customers the absolute best in everything we do. So the company actually flew to Hamilton, where we are, and they're like, can we talk you into this? And I was like, no, you can't. And we lost a lot of money potentially, but I always think when you stick with your core values, then the next opportunity that actually suits you and is perfect for you comes along. And we've never suffered having not done that. We felt better about ourselves, about our team. We can sleep at night. We can continue to live in our core values.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so we have the duality going with these questions. So this is a similar theme that's been coming up throughout the night. We're looking for two fresh expert panelists to deal with these ideas. Consistency and transparency are central to authenticity. There's a lot of content around defining your values, being consistent, being transparent, but what's the role of consistency in creating opportunities? I know someone who knows a little bit about that. And then the other side of it is transparency. How much is too much to share? How do you decide where that wall is between personal and private? Yeah.
Like anyone, I'm not
Consistency and transparency. Who's going to take it?
I think transparency I'll talk about. My blog is called This Is My Life. And lots of people know me and my life and what I'm doing all the time. Not all the time, but I've had a boyfriend for a long time, but some things I don't talk about is I don't really talk about sex, dating, relationships, even when I'm single. It's not someone's business. My blog has created a ton of opportunity for me. I've got lots of jobs, I've been in movies, TV, whatever, all kinds of things, but it's come from I'm lighthearted, I'm fun, and people know what I'm like, but I keep my personal life not in it. I rarely post pictures of like my family and what we're doing, and because it's not about that. It's about me, and it's about me, what I'm doing, and the how I'm feeling is more important than what I'm doing when I go home. And I also I've really learned to disconnect over the past 2 years. I go to a lot less events because I've done that for a long time, and I don't have to go to all that stuff all the time because people know who I am, you know where to find me, you know what I'm like, you know what I do. I consistently get, when people ask me what I do, I'm like, I'm gonna do a lot of things. Because if someone knows who I am and they're like, hey Casey, got an opportunity for you, like an actual opportunity, not like, not MLM, don't come at me with that ever. But like, people come at me with some kind of an opportunity, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And they come to me with that opportunity because they know what my brand is, they know what I'm like. People don't come to me to write about a relationship column or because I don't talk about that stuff, but I've really clearly defined the internet Casey is like the me. I mean, it's a very authentic me, but it's only like, it's not the whole me, because I feel like it's really important to define what that personal brand is and who it is. It doesn't have to be everything, but it's definitely authentic.
Wonderful. Okay, lovely.
Ooh, consistency. Confession time. I'm not always consistent with my content, and that's real. As a solopreneur currently, I'm trying to grow my team at this point, but I can't always create content. It's just I'm not able to do it at the level that I want to do it. However, where I have ensured that I am consistent is in the quality. I don't share a lot of stuff, but when I share something, people expect it to be a certain level of quality. They expect to get something from it. So the consistency for me comes in the level of quality. Another thing that I've done from a strategy perspective is I have gone to the appointment-based content. And so what I mean by that is when I was consistently doing my videos, I had Just Ask Cher videos, and they'd come out every Thursday. And I would always say, new videos every Thursday, kind of taking that YouTuber approach, but on LinkedIn. And what happened was through the consistency and through the expected quality level that, because I just give, like I was said in the panel before, don't slide up in the DMs with a pitch. People slide up in your DMs with an offer if you consistently give good content that people want and that people learn from and that people get a taste of who you are and what you bring to the table. So you will get it, it's like the opposite effect. But what I can say is when I moved to this appointment-based content strategy, where it's like one powerful piece of content once a week. I had people slide up in my DM saying, hey, where's Thursday's video? I'm looking there. I could see them if I didn't get it up yet. And again, I've moved to that again on LinkedIn. So I just started a new LinkedIn Live just as of last week. And this is my second Tuesday at 9 p.m. And I had people ready to go watching it. And I'm saying it'll be every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. It's like must-see social TV. So it is something that you can, if you can't always produce content, you can produce it in series, but be consistent in that series. Be consistent in the quality in what you give. And also, the most important consistency rule that you cannot afford to drop the ball in is not content, it's relationships. You need to be active in the network consistently. And even if you fall back on content because you can't do it at this time, for whatever reason, and there's many reasons why you can't, if you are consistently in the network, the algorithm will forgive you when you jump back in with your series, with your appointment-based content, whatever it may be for you. So there is consistency in quality, consistency in relationship, and when you're doing it, consistency in the series. So that's what I have to say about that.
Amen.
Wonderful. There was a point in my life where I had to decide whether I wanted to be something for everyone or everything to someone. And just that phrase really sort of helped me because when you grow up shy, you're thinking, look, I never wanted 100 likes on, there was no Instagram, I'm old. I just wanted that one girl in 7th grade to like, I wanted one like, not 100 likes. And I realized with my personality being polarizing, that's okay. Because the specificity that I bring to everything will attract the right people to me and it'll be a filter for everything else. But I like the attraction, but I didn't own the filter. So one thing I'm hearing here is unapologetically, this is what I do. And that attracts people to, it's those pregnant pauses, right? It's people waiting on that. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we have 2 panelists left, and we have 1 duo. So, brave Bobby, brave Scott.
Why did we do this?
Yeah, that's because you realize that this is not, as Diana said, where we have half women represented and half men. This is clearly a women takeover that we have here. Look by the numbers, right? So, I didn't say Cher, I didn't say that. Just kidding. Wonderful. Okay, so the last one is passion and energy, right? So passion and energy are vital to capturing people's attention with potential content and information overload in our digital age. What can you do, to get people to truly pay attention as the first one, and then passion and energy?
So passion and energy seems like something that I should talk about a little bit more so than attention, since you touched on the fact that Bobby before gets all the attention. Am I understanding this the right way?
Well, see, the duality is passion and energy,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about that in keeping people's attention. Because one thing Cher was saying that I love is that if you're turned down, then do less. Do less and make sure it's at that high level. So young man, you can choose passion or energy?
Yeah, okay, I'll choose passion. The reason being is I kind of touched on the fact before when you asked me the question about, my personal brand versus True Fan's brand. Look, I have a passion for what I do right now. I'm very lucky to say, like, every day I wake up and I'm extremely happy with what I'm doing, like whether that's True Fan or some of the other side things that I've been able to dabble in now over the course of the last 2 years. But I think even before that, I was able to bring a certain level of passion, whether it be through content and being a little bit vulnerable, and especially when meeting in person with people that I was networking with online. I always brought passion and an intensive passion to understanding who they are, like what they're out there trying to accomplish, like really trying to take an empathetic lens and also learn from them through perspective. And I do think, like, there's some people in the room right now actually who I've gotten to know pretty well over the course of time on LinkedIn. Yeah, Jeremy and Graham are right there. They're both guys who I've tried to put as much passion into our relationship as I can, and through that give them the attention that they deserve, but they've always given me the attention in return, like including me on a panel next week. Cokehead is in the back. That's somebody that I met in Ottawa when I was living there, really over the first little stint of this whole kind of LinkedIn journey. And we met up in person. I tried to give my time and vice versa. She gave her time to kind of get to know one another. And she's since given me a lot of attention. She saw that I was going to be here tonight, and she came out, and that way, we can give each other some more attention. And this man right here, Mr. Goldstein at Goldie's Army, it's at Goldie's Army. You might want to check him out, but his story is incredible. And sometimes I think through passion and through doing the right thing on social platforms, you can really attract people who see eye to eye with you. Judd, I can't forget about Judd, who's back here as well. He's come down from Rochester after some work today. But the passion that he has won now for what he's doing is just amazing to see. And he kind of approached me when he's at a stage in life where he was a little bit uncertain or unsure about where he was headed. But to get that attention as a result of the passion that I was putting into my own projects, I'm grateful for, and I've tried to give him my attention and passionate conversations in return over the course of the last year while he's been away gallivanting around the world. So I think passion beats attention for sure. That's a great
Wonderful
question.
There's something that Scott has been doing all night that I think is just wonderful. Don't we all love it when people give the credit away and don't take it for themselves first? Don't we love that? Do you see how it makes someone bigger? Do you see how they get larger in their chair when they give that to somebody else? So a candle doesn't lose anything by lighting another candle, right? So that was wonderful, Scott. It's probably the youngest member of the panel, but it's just wonderful.
Oh,
Was
that's
that?
kind of an assumption.
Well, not for everyone. I heard one age today. You said you've been on social media for 200 years. I can count. Now, Bobby, because you are the founder and the organizer of tonight, you're going to deal with that one last one, but you also get to choose any of the others. You get to touch on anything you want as the last panel part here today.
I'm not going to do that, but I'll talk. Every single one of you has an energy. Now, as a speaker, as a brand, as a person, as a human, you have energy. So some people, when they speak, as a speaker, when I speak, I'm very energetic, I'm very passionate, I move around a lot, right? Tony Robbins is like, he's like kicking it, right? He does that, right? And then you have Susan Cain, who's an introvert expert. She comes in and tells a story about being an introvert and how our TED Talk changed the world, because every introvert has their own superpower. And so what happens is, people have their own different energies. Now, we have energies in different ways, and it's also how we get attention, right? Your smile has energy. Your stance has energy, right? How you dress has energy. How you lean forward when someone has energy. When I shake Alexander's hand one-on-one, he shakes my hand, he puts his hand on my shoulder. That's energy that he's delivering to me in terms of getting my attention. Energy comes in words. Energy comes in pauses. When Coco shared a story, my heart broke. In that pause, to think, to process, gets attention. So the truth is, every single one of you has energy and can leverage energy in a way to get attention. And this happens one-on-one, this happens one-on-many, it happens on social. I'm big on vulnerability. Vulnerability is an energy. because it invites people to grab your heart and hold on to it because you're sharing it. We talked about the Embrace the Suck campaign. There was also the Let's Get Honest campaign that Swish and his crew started. And again, I always talk on LinkedIn about professional stuff. I shared a story about my binge eating disorder and how I was a food addict and how I felt so helpless and out of control. And I never thought I'd share something like that on LinkedIn. It was crazy. But the way I talked about it, and again, I wasn't talking the way I'm on stage sometimes. I was just more like, listen, this is the way it is. Here's what's going on. And I'm smiling and whatever, but I'm telling this story that's really powerful. But it definitely got a lot of attention, right? So, to me, energy we all have. It's important for you to understand what your energy is. It's important to understand what people want from your kind of energy. Like sometimes they want that high energy. And you know what Diana said, what about when you have low days? Yeah, sometimes you have low days. So it's okay to say, you know what, I'm having a bad day. Even though normally Bob's like, yeah. So know your energy, know how your audience feeds off that energy, and then use that to your advantage to get the attention that you want, but by also creating the value you're trying to create.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Wonderful. I promised you I'd give you my 3 points, and this is for shy people out there, specifically for people who it took a while or you haven't found where you want. You know you want to do something awesome. You know you want to matter. That's all I could really say coming out of high school. I just want to matter. I felt like I didn't, But the lessons I learned are so powerful. That's why I'm so excited to share them with you. And the first one's so simple, right? It's you. It's you in the way that you react and the way that you act when situations happen. So life gives you challenges, right? Ups and downs, it's the way that it works. But those challenges are tests. So if you're like me and you get things wrong all the time, you're in an argument with your sister, and you get going so long you don't realize she stopped talking 5 minutes ago and she's kind of gone silent on the other end. But in your zeal to make your point, you kind of forgot about the fact that your family above all. In that moment, I have another moment where I can say, you know what, sister, I got it wrong. Not in the point I made, I still think I'm right. But there's something else going on here, is I let myself get to the point where you might be questioning the love I have for you, and more importantly, the respect that I have for you in this moment. So I want to let you know that it's not okay with me to make you feel that way, and I'll probably do it again, but I want you to know it's never my intention to make you feel small, and that I want to apologize for. And that's the third rule, not apologizing, not realizing. I ended up in all kinds of issues because I thought that greatness was the end of this road. I had to do this and that, and I get that. I got way more in wrong education than I needed because I thought once I get education, people will listen to me and they'll respect me. I tried to make money any way I could because I figured once I got money, then people would take me seriously. But do you see what that is? It's sort of doing this to get that. Why not go direct? Why not purpose every moment? So when I met my partner Tom, who's a corporate lawyer who makes all the wonderful suits that I wear, we met in a coffee shop, and he told me 6 months later, he's like, Alexander, after this high energy hour, he's like, there was no call to action. And same when Bobby and I met. Bobby and I had this awesome breakfast 3 years ago, and I'm just like, wow, what an incredible dynamic person. I want more people like that around me. Now I have 50 of them around me, right? But at the end of the day, there's no big road, there's no moment, there's no one shining, it's every moment that you're in. So if you can learn to be the most you in every moment, don't compromise your values, and create the most positive impact in every moment, the cumulative effect of that will be your own brand of personal greatness. Thank you. You like how my voice cracked at the end, right? Oh, that was wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the audience. And yet, like before, you're going to address a person particularly, but now it's a free-for-all. If you feel like, oh, sorry, Bobby, how much time do you have? 15, yeah?
So time check. We can start late, but we can go total maybe 10 minutes of this.
So we have 10 minutes. Okay, so for panelists, we want to get snappy answers. Anything longer than like 15 seconds, but we want it going. So who's ready for the speed round? I need David for this one. Who's ready for the speed round? David, just do it loud.
Who's ready for the speed round?
It's like Mufasa and the Lion King. Do it again. Do it again. Over here. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Well, everyone wants to hear it, so definitely.
I've had a question for a while now.
We'll come back to David next, but the mic is closer. Thank you, Diana.
Hello. Okay, great. This question is open to everyone on the panel. And by the way, great job today. It's awesome to learn about your insight, your observations with LinkedIn. It's really cool. So we touched on being authentic and creating content and connecting with the audience. I want to know how much time you spend every day engaging, developing content, and then also, once you give me the number, I'd like to learn more about the engagement side, not the creation side. So what are you actually doing in the group discussions, in the pods? Who are you bringing in? Who are you collaborating with? Like, is there, to engage that algorithm that you were talking about? Because I think that, the more practical side of the action is what I'm interested in learning more about, as opposed to the general, be authentic, be yourself, connect. There is an algorithm that we all know, and it changes all the time, and you guys are the experts, so it'd be great to get some insight.
Some days I spend no time creating content or engaging. I kind of treat content creation as a priority, and if it's not my priority, because I have other priorities that relate more to business or clients, or I guess, maybe it's not the best thing to say, but money to some degree, that's where I place my priority, and that's where I place my time, and I also want to make sure that I'm having a bit of life in that work-life balance. So that's what I'd say. And in terms of the people, I think engaging both online and in person is the key to kind of breaking down that algorithm. How much you post is one thing. Certainly, I think you're right about the more you post, you're going to see more results, because if you have more content out, then some of that content is going to do better sometimes. But I do think there's no need to be posting 30 times a month, and for that matter, even once a week. If you can do one post a month and you're just trying to start, just start there. Start with something that's not overwhelming, but engage with the community online and offline.
Yeah, one of the things I think is really important, this is a simple step that you can put into action right now if you're on your phone. Actually, wait till we're done, but tonight, tomorrow, anytime. One of the things that I see people is posting stuff, but they're not actually going and engaging with anyone else's stuff. Let's say you put hashtag Toronto, hashtag Raptors, hashtag Casey is awesome. Go click on that hashtag, go see some other content, and go maybe like some other people's posts. Don't just, I usually say, make those hashtags work for you. Don't just throw them down and then walk away from your post. Also, your post is going to, if it gets a bunch of engagement right when you post it, it's more likely to be seen from other people. So post that and spend the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, while you're on your commute, because I'm not driving, but out to DC. Spend some time engaging with other people's stuff. Don't just set it and forget it. Go in and you want people to engage with you. Social media is a two-way street. It's not like having a billboard. It's not like putting out a TV commercial. You need to put something out there and then engage with other people's stuff, because otherwise you're just putting it out there and you're not sharing. And it's more to build that community and engage with people. You have to actually engage. You can't just throw it out there.
Another tactic right now that I find is working really well is getting in the DM, but sending voice notes.
I love
Voice notes are amazing, and every platform has them now, so regardless of what you're using, but specifically on LinkedIn, because we're so inundated with the templated note and everything like that. But if you send somebody, if you respond to something, I saw this, I saw your content, it was awesome, I saw your comment, and you send them a voice note, talk about, one, informing the algorithm that you have a new friend, right? Because the algorithm's all about that. But then that person feels more connected to you. And then the other piece is getting into the replying to comments in other people's posts or liking people's comments. That, liking people's comments in your network, also you're liking their comments, that I notice that all the time. So take a look at what you notice when somebody else does something to you. And if it was a good feeling, do that too.
People have a mobile phone plan, right? My mobile phone, I can't speak English. My mobile plan is 80 gigs. I've already spent it 2 weeks into my plan. That's how hardcore I am on LinkedIn. Yeah, I now am looking for Wi-Fi because now it's charging me $10 per gig I'm over. Yeah, so I'm going to T-Mobile tomorrow. You want to sponsor me? I am. But I want to clarify about the 30 days posting. I'm saying that to anyone who wants to start. It's like Coca-Cola. You walk anywhere down the street, you will see a Coca-Cola sign marketing, right? It's telling you, go drink me. If you never appeared on a LinkedIn newsfeed, no one is going to know who the F you are, right? So for those 30 days, be visible. That's why social media was made for, was to be visible. After 30 days, chill out and assess what you want to do. But there is pods, and I can give you an example. I gave my tips to a friend. She did the 30 days, she listened to me, and then she got invited to pods. That now helps her algorithm.
You know, and for me, I got invited to pods too.
Yes.
But I felt that there was this weird like cult thing.
It is a
where,
cult.
Like, and you have the same people liking and saying like arbitrary comments that aren't even really real. Like they didn't even listen to the video. They're just doing their piece, and then they say, "Oh, by the way, guys, here's the post." And I found that was so inauthentic.
It is inauthentic.
And it was like kind of turned off by it. That's why I wanted to know, like, do you engage with that? Do you do your own thing? I really like what you said about the voice notes, about commenting, and the hashtag. That was great. Yeah.
So play with variety. Like if you're in a pod, put it in the pod. But if you think your content is kicking ass, it doesn't need to be, put it outside. And then tag your 5 top people that you want to say, hi, you inspired me, I've tagged you. So play with the variety. The algorithm is changing. We don't know what's happening with it.
Remember, like pods are communities, right? So eventually you create communities that work and some that don't work and let them go, right? So whether it's a community of pods or it's a community of people who follow you on Facebook or people who are part of your business group or whatever, you're creating that community. Eventually, ones that don't really fit or align, you leave, or they evolve in the way that you want. So for me, what's happened is, I tried them all out, and then I found there's 1 or 2 that really mean a lot to me because I'm learning from them, and we're really supporting each other. So it's about curation of that community too, as opposed to just saying, if I just if you're uncomfortable, leave, or find someone that find another one that's better.
Also, I was like, I'm a fan of a group chat instead of pod, like people that you know and like, because I got invited to this pod, which I left, but apparently if you are sending posts to this pod all the time, you can actually get dinged. And if you put like new posts, like Instagram, that's not, apparently not, on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, so that's bad.
And do you guys use forums to like stay up to date with what's happening with the algorithms, or do you
Reddit.
Reddit? You're using Reddit?
The LinkedIn blog is actually awesome. They have their developer blog and then the regular blog. It's amazing for information. Like right now, on like the LinkedIn algorithm, 3 hashtags. That's it. No more.
I was told 5.
3.
Too many.
It's on their LinkedIn official LinkedIn voice. Yeah, 3.
Bobby, I think we have a topic that needs its own night. Who would come to a night about learning about algorithms and how to have your content go further and all? I think we got a new one. We already have our panel. Diana, you gonna come back?
Sure.
Huh? Okay, wonderful. Hey, thank you. Oh, sorry, do we have time? Well, we have to go to David. And you know what? David, please give us a taste of that golden voice as you asked. I gotta give you my mic for this.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is a 2-parter. One is talk about valuable content. Is there a definition for what that means? Because I've been struggling with that the last 2 weeks. And 2, I see a lot of posts where people tag like 60 people. What's the rule or the guideline for tagging people?
So valuable content is based on the audience that you serve. Okay, so now valuable content is broken down in different areas, like things that inform, things that educate, things that entertain, things that inspire. Sometimes the really good ones have all 4 or 3 of the 4. Now that said, it's based on your audience. If your audience values it or are entertained or inspired by it, then that's really creating value. But you're only going to know by actually engaging. But typically, I determine value from my post when I think about questions that I know people want answered from my community. And in doing so, I will then do that. So for example, today I've heard people want to know the algorithms. Tomorrow my live stream should be about algorithms. I'll talk about it because I know that's exactly what people want to talk about. So that's the first thing. The second thing was tagging. Tagging is something that's been going on for a long time across every single platform. Really what you want to do is tag responsibly based on what's important to you, right? So in the beginning, I tagged a lot of people. Why? Because I was trying to get traction. But now I don't do that anymore. Like I take responsibility for this. Now I tag people if it's relevant. I tag people if I think that they should hear it. And when someone tags me, honestly, I get tagged like literally.
It's so annoying.
I get tagged hundreds of times a day. Okay? But the truth is, people tagging me, I'm grateful for. Even though it may annoy me, it may get in my feed, my notifications, the truth is, they thought enough of me, either because they wanted me to be relevant, or they thought I was relevant to me, or they thought I was someone influential enough that maybe if I was tagged, I could do it. Now, I can pass by the tag, whatever, but that's my take. I know a lot of people have different take, but for me, I'm very grateful for tags if they have them. But again, if you're the one tagging, you have to be very, very responsible with that. And the other tactic now, a lot of people tag in comments versus in posts and stuff. Because if you tag too much of the post, LinkedIn algorithms, again, we'll start that then.
I feel used with that. I hate it. I'm like, oh, you're just trying to get me to like it and me to share with other people.
But why they tag you? Because they think you're amazing.
Now that I'm trying, about the wall.
No, but everyone tag her tomorrow.
I'll tag you tomorrow.
Say she's amazing and tag her.
I think what Bobby said is really relevant, like, or about tagging and about relevancy. Like, if you know people in your network well enough, tagging the people that posts are relevant to, like, that makes sense because maybe it's not going to come out across like a nuisance. What I really wanted to touch on quickly was, like, I know we threw out storytelling a few times. I'm so glad that you brought that up after your question. But like both your question and when the gentleman was speaking about like new immigrants coming into the country and how they can get involved in social media, like to me, a tremendous value of content is storytelling. And the reason being, you can associate your own experiences so much when other people tell stories. You can see yourself in that. If it's not their story and they're telling somebody else's story, you can then relate back to certain experiences that you've had, which kind of fall into the same stream. And to me, that's why like storytelling is so powerful on LinkedIn, and especially all platforms social. But it's valuable at the same time. It's valuable to the audience because they can relate, and it doesn't mean everyone's relating the exact same way, but they can kind of come up with their own picture on why that's valuable to them.
So I'm not the biggest storyteller on LinkedIn. I am all about making learning fun. I know it sounds tacky, but I really do. And that for me, my style of content is really about injecting, and not everybody can do this because maybe not everybody thinks they're as funny as I am, but, or thinks they're as funny as I think I'm funny. But bottom line is I don't do a lot of storytelling. And I'm just saying storytelling, while very powerful, it's super powerful and there are ways to do it. Not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay too. Just like not everybody wants to blog every day, and that's okay. Right? But it's finding your groove in the value-based content where you feel that to your audience, you are delivering value. And for me, it's instructional, but it's fun, and it's my personality, and I can only be me, and not everybody's gonna love me, leave me alone, but it's okay. It's okay, but I know that I am putting out the best quality that I'm able to put out to serve in the way that I want to serve. And like I said, you won't have to slide in the DMs trying to sell and trying to pitch, because people will come to you with an offer when you're giving from here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Round of applause, yes. So there have been a few things that have come up tonight, but did you notice that there were times when even our distinguished panelists had differing views on things? That's a point as well. That's authenticity. I missed the sass. I heard the sass, but I missed it. But that's the most important thing, right? We want to be the best possible you that you can be, unapologetically you, yes, but purpose your actions for value, right? I mean, getting attention, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you have natural stage presence like Diana, or you're just bubbling with energy like Casey, or if you're like Bobby, where you just hold a crowd's attention with just your gravitas, there's nothing wrong with that. Right, or you got like... And at the end of the day, let's use our time and energy to be the most us and create value for ourselves and others, yes? Okay, so if you're on the DYPB team, can you please stand up? Yeah. The people who helped, can you stand up, please? There we go, there's Nguyen at the back. Everyone a round of applause for the team. Thank you. I was over here for saving the day. And then for our first two speakers today, we started off with Casey and with Diana. Can you please stand up, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then we have Scott, Nguyen, and Cher as well. That did a great job. Please stand up as well. Thank you. And then to Bobby for having us all here today. Thank you, Bobby. Good night, everyone. And Scott having the last word.
And to this man right here.
Have a good night, everyone.
Hey, wait, so one last thing, guys. As you go, network with people. There's food. If you want to take food, take it out. You want to check the photos. What's coming up next to DYPB? We're doing a webinar on personal branding. So I'm going to take you through the signature methodology of how to actually craft your personal brand. We're going to be doing workshops on personal branding as well in August and in September, so watch for that. Our next LinkedIn local is actually already set for in September. I believe it's September 19th. Don't quote me on that one. And for those who want to stick around, we're actually having an after gathering at Popper's Pub over just on
All right? Have a good night, everybody. Thanks so much.
I know there are something.
Rock.
come back out, go around those, and I'm gonna get rid of all the old ones. That's what I know, and a good one too.